Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SKOL for Days, the Thursday Talkers. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm going to kill that music right away just in case my internet decides to cut up the bandwidth. The Minnesota Vikings go into Cincinnati to start off this weekend's festivities. Good job. Tonight's game notwithstanding, but now that the college football season is over, well, the NFL is going to put a few games on a Saturday. Okay, we'll take it. Speaking of tonight, the Vegas Raiders decided to score some points. 21-0 over the Chargers. Woo-hoo! Glad we caught them last week. Or is it that Beeflo's defense is that good? I don't know. We'll see. Let's get some shouts in the building going on because I know we got some people here. We got SKOL for Life Barber with the winner of the first one tonight. He's already getting his prediction right out there. Beating the Bengals, B-Flow's going to eat, and our offense will score at least 21 with 2 TDs from JJ and 1 from Addison. 1 pick, 6 from the defense. All right. SKOL for Life Barber's putting it down right off the bat, saying, hey, we got some stuff going on. All right. Shout out Sodak. What's going on? Good to see you. Good evening, Greg. GMAX72. What's going on? We got Roger in the building. What's going on? Too Evil to Hope is on time tonight, right off the bat with his Trey JJ nonsense. I mean, hello is right. Shout out T-Bass. What's going on? T-Bass going to join us a little bit later, and he's going to say, you know what? Maybe drafting a quarterback high isn't all it's cracked up to be. I'll get you that link, T-Bass, after I do my monologue, my shout outs, and my topics, but I'll get you on here. Shout out to Tony in the building. What is going on? Good to see you, Tony, as well. Vikings fan 123. It's a game on CBS for the people who live in Minnesota. You know what? I'll check into that. I will check into that. I don't remember because you're right. I didn't think of it from that perspective. All right, let's see what the old ESPN says as to what channel this game is going to be on. Well, we'll get back to that. We'll let the internet load there. Shout out right out the gate to Eva to Hope. $5 super chat. Mullins is going to be the doom of the team until they put in Hall. Well, at least Hall got the backup spot. Just when you think you have all the answers, I changed the Appreciate you. How can anybody be optimistic about our offense? Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it just a little bit here. Is this thing done loading yet? No, it's not. Why is it sitting here for you? I'm trying to get that answer for you, but it's just kind of sitting here doing its old sweet thing. So, all right. So according to this NFL Network, usually for people in the viewing area, it's either on CBS or maybe it's on ABC. I candidly don't know. I'll try to find that out for you by the end of the show, but I make no promises. You don't need the all right. It never ends with you Too Evil, but you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. All right. So y'all know how we do this. If this is your first time here, I start the show off with some shout outs both to the people in the building at the moment, as well to as a few other groups of people. But before we do that, let's hit the reset button. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you can share it. Go on and share it for me if you could, please. You know what? I forgot to send my tweets out. Oh, that's right. I still call it tweets because I don't care what Elon Musk says. It's called Twitter for the rest of time, baby. For the rest of time. Anyway, thank you kindly for indulging me there. All right, for real, let's get the shouts and let's get the show on the road here. Y'all know how we started. We say thank you to the active and veteran members of our armed forces for their continued sacrifice, both to earn our freedoms and continue to hold on to them, making this the greatest nation on the planet. And shout out to the family members who have to sacrifice time away from their loved ones so we can be free. Shout out to the brave men and women who serve as our law enforcement, firefighters, and EMS, who in times of tragedy are the ones running towards the danger while the rest of us are simply trying to get away from it. And to the doctors, nurses, surgeons, home health care providers, frontline workers, for all that you do in our times of medical need. Your Super Bowl is saving a life. The men and women I have shouted out here in these groups oftentimes work very thankless jobs. So I'm going to say thank you at the beginning of my show. Each time I have one by myself. Y'all know the drill. Still got the fundraising and still get the matching donations. Any increments of $5 get put into Mary's contest. That's right. Mary donated some stuff for us. Let me get this week's prize up on the screen. And by the way, there haven't been that many entries yet, ladies and gentlemen. There haven't been that many. We got the Vikings calendar and the Vikings yearbook of 2024 that Mary has so graciously donated. So again, any donation, super chat or cash app, purple and gold for days with the and spelled out, of course, go towards an entry. Rap and I will be collecting this on both of our shows. Raps will be tomorrow doing some fundraising for Grandpa Gary's grandson. But for tonight, this is for my daughter's trip. So I appreciate anything. And again, $5 increments. So again, Too Evil to Hope right out the gate. He got the first one. He gets another entry into the building. So there we go. There we go. Let me get back to some shout outs. Again, reminder people, wipe your feet at the door and hit that like button. And if you don't already subscribe, hit that subscribe button as well. Oh, programming note on the Mary Prize Fund. If you are a member of Purple and Gold for Days, $2.99 a month, you also get one additional automatic entry into the drawing. All right. I know I got some more people here, so let's see who we got and who we have to say hello to as well. More KOC. We're going to talk about him tonight. We're going to talk about him too. Evil. I'm confused why anyone think this offense all of a sudden with a brand new quarterback with a 5-12 record son. Well, yeah, there's something to be said there. There's absolutely something. Speaking of that, shout out Gary. What's going on? Appreciate you as always, my brother. We've got one of the queens. We got the matriarch, Mary Fitz, in the building. What's going on, Mary? Good to see you. Good to see you. And thank you again for the lovely prize donations that you have given Rap and I to raffle out here. My SKOL brother, SKOL Mafia, is in the building. What's going on, Mafia? Appreciate you stopping on by. We got Norsefius. What's going on, Norsefius? Norsefius won the prize last week, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulate him one more time. That beautiful steak knife set. I wish that I would have been able to get an entry into that because I kind of like one of those, but ooh, I'll just bite you. There you go. There you go. That's another one you could do. That's another one. Is there a picture of KOC on the calendar that I can throw darts at? You'd have to ask Mary T-Vaz. I don't know who's in on the thing, but Blood Eagle Smeagol, what's going on? Shout out to you as well. Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys and gals. Hey, I thought I did that last show. All right, hold on. All right, everybody, we got to hold it up because Two Tone's got to get a ranch. We'll get him part of ranch gang. We'll get him part of ranch gang. So hold on. All right. Two Tone Tony, you are hereby officially a member. Where'd it go? There you go. You should be now official part ranch gang. There you go. Shout out Gary with the 1999 Mission Big Apple. I appreciate you, Gary. I appreciate you as always. So that's a couple more for you. If Browning turns out to be the quarterback, then I'll get away and I will be. Well, we'll see. We'll see. All right. Once again, you know what? If Ashley gets in here tonight or Vikings funeral, ask them. My understanding is you have to do it on a laptop, or what you need to do is you need to open your web browser, type in YouTube, sign in, and then go to my page. Because if you do it on a web browser, I know you can do it. I don't think you can do it directly from the app, SKOL Mafia, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I need 2 claps. Well, here's the problem, Smeagol. I don't know if you've been here the last couple of shows, but every time, it might be my internet connection. I got to talk to the good old Spectrum down here, because every time I play a sounder, then when I start talking again, it kind of sounds like I'm underwater. It's a bandwidth thing. That's why I haven't been doing the sounders for a while. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Do we think JJ lying about playing Sunday? No, I do not. He's absolutely going to play. And there is no way, after missing as many games as he did, that he's going to miss the opportunity to go up against his buddy Jamar Chase. There is no chance in the world that Justin Jefferson does not play. But let's get down to brass tacks here, ladies and gentlemen. Give me just a second here to switch this up one more time. If you haven't already done so, hit that like button for me, if you could, please. If you could, please. All right. We always start with the NFC North Roundup. Yeehaw! Okay, something like that. We all know the Vikings are going to go first, but we'll get back to that. Saturday night, the Detroit Lions take on the surging Denver Broncos, who now are up to 7 wins. Detroit is favored by 5 points in that game. I'm anticipating a Detroit Lions victory, but I really do hope that Russell Wilson can find enough magic like he did against us. And that Lions defense is putrid. Their offense is off the charts when they get blocking, but they're going to have something for the Lions. Now, again, my official prediction is that the Lions are going to squeak out a 3-point win, but the Broncos could do us a solid. Now, here's the thing. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the playoff segment at the end, but there's actually a scenario out there where the Vikings might actually be better off with the Detroit Lions winning this Saturday, as crazy as that sounds, because if you anticipate the Vikings beating them twice and the Cowboys beating them, there's actually a scenario out there where we need Detroit to get to 10 wins so that it creates a three-way tie if the Packers somehow catch up to us. But that being said, we're pulling for the Detroit Lions to win because we'll just take care of our own business. Okay. The suddenly surging 5-8, according to some, Chicago Bears. Oh, they can still make the playoffs. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. You're 5-8. You're barely hanging on. I know the NFC is a bit of a weak conference, and I know that you're only a game out of a playoff spot, but no. Now, you're going to go into Cleveland. Cleveland only favored by 3 points, but the Cleveland Browns are going to mollywop the Chicago Bears by at least 10 points. And finally, the Green Bay Packers holding on to that 7 seed. They are hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they finally have caught up to Atlanta and New Orleans, and they're going to want to keep that. Green Bay favored by 3.5. Green Bay's defense, just when you thought they were out, they pull you back in. They look good. They look good for 58 minutes, get a turnover, get the Packers offense and Jordan Love in a position. They score a touchdown, and they give up the ghost to Danny DeVito's younger brother. Oh, how delicious it was. In fact, Cesar Romero, this is one of the best Joker's laughs of all time. I hope it doesn't come in too loud, but with the Packers losing on Monday Night Football, we will always say this. No, it's always delicious when the Packers lose, particularly when they're up with less than a minute to go. And oh boy, it is absolutely delicious. So that's your NFC North roundup, ladies and gentlemen. We got the Lions going as the headliner Saturday night. We'll still be pulling for the Broncos, regardless of this playoff scenario that I saw earlier this week, where actually we might actually want, in the long term, the Lions to win. But nah, we'll just take care of our own business. Get another Detroit Lions loss so that we have a margin for error there as well. All right, let's reset. Like buttons. Subscribe buttons. Hit them all for me, ladies and gentlemen. Hit them all for me. Shout out Norpheus right off the back, gifting 5 more entries and 5 more memberships. I appreciate you so very, very much, Norpheus. That's 5 more entries for you, my brother. I appreciate you. Appreciate you as always. Another shout out to Gary. Okay, for That's Mafias. All right, we'll take it. $9.99, another super chat, but I will make sure that one goes down as Mafias. I appreciate you, Gary. Appreciate you as always. All right, what we got going on here? All right, what do you got, T-Bass? Almost possible I did it from my phone. I don't know. I tried doing it on a couple other channels. I just had to sign in today. Mary says, Northstreet's mailed your package today. Okay. All right. I'm going to ask for predictions, but I'm going to ask for them towards the end of the show. So don't send them in now because I'll lose them. But get your predictions ready. Shout out Ryan. What's going on? Was looking at Christmas lights. Let's go Cincinnati. Let's go to Cincinnati and neuter the kitties. Make sure your pets are spayed or neutered. There you go. Yeah, I know. Not for you. Yeah. Those are gifted. No, I'm saying the memberships are gifted. Yes, but you get the entries into the drawing. For being the one to gift those for people. But I digress. All right. Next up on the extravaganza. Injuries galore. Wow. A lot of injuries to a couple of key players. I know Jalen Naylor is just, another guy, but Alexander Madison out. O'Neal out. Oh, boy. This could be interesting. Let's get the official report from the horse's mouth and Kevin O'Connell himself talking today, ruling out a couple players.
We will rule out 3 players. Alex Madison, Jalen Naylor, and Brian O'Neal will all be out for this week. They'll get them some work next week in anticipation of maybe having them. Justin Jefferson and Chris Reed will be questionable. And then Ed Ingram and Dalton Reisner will not have a designation. Both got a full workload today and will be ready to go.
Okay. I was talking with Dave during our Tuesday night show at 6:30 under the lights. And he was like, hey, you know what? This offensive line is going to be just fine. We did just fine. I'm like, well, I don't know that we did just fine. There were times where, as much as we want to blame Josh Dobbs for the pitiful offensive performance, there were times where if that was Kirk Cousins, he would have got sacked. If that was Nick Mullins, he would have got sacked. The offensive line has descended a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Was hoping to get it fixed up during the bye week. They still have some room to improve. But my biggest concern was, yes, we survived. We won the game. We did enough. But when you start dropping offensive linemen like flies and you have to cut into your depth pieces, you can get away with that for the remainder of a game. But you don't want to be going into a game not having either one of your guards and your right tackle. When you have 60% of your offensive line starting the game on the bench and not playing, and you have to dip into your depth pieces to start, that can be cumbersome. So I'm really, really glad that we're going to get Ed Ingram back. Didn't think I'd ever say those words. Kind of like last year when we said we hope we got Garrett Bradbury back for the playoffs. Y'all remember that? But anyway, the point is this. I'm okay. I'm a lot better. Losing O'Neal is going to be tough, but Quisenberry did okay. And as long as he's the only one, then we still got 4 out of the 5 starters. I'm okay with that. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Cincinnati defense is nothing special. Nothing special. Their team is built around offense, obviously, when you're talking about Jamar Chase and Boyd. Who's the other guy? Higgins. Yeah, it's going to be on the defense, and we'll talk about that later. But I think we'll be okay. Now, running game. Again, been clamoring for Ty Chandler. Didn't like the rotation that Kevin O'Connell has done this season. Well, there won't be much of a rotation. Ty Chandler is going to get the bulk of the carries, bulk of the swing passes. Hopefully, this notion that he can't pick up a blitz can be proven otherwise because, yeah, we don't have Kirk Cousins. We have Nick Mullins, who we'll talk about. But we need to get that run game going. We need to be effective in our short passing game, swing passes to the running backs. Excuse me. Kevin O'Connell also did mention that C.J. Ham will actually probably get a few touches there this Saturday as well. Okay, old reliable C.J. Ham, sage veteran, all that good stuff. Bottom line is we're going to miss O'Neal a little bit, and we're going to have to handcuff Quisenberry a little bit. But I feel good about it knowing that Ed Ingram and Dalton Reisner will be out there. As far as Jalen Naylor goes, again, you're going to have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. You're going to be fine. Jalen Naylor, it's unfortunate. Had high hopes for the guy, but for right now, yeah, I don't see that as being too big of a loss. That was somebody asked me on Monday's show, was it a dirty hit on JJ? And I said, no, absolutely not. The hit on Jalen Naylor, that was some trash. That was some straight up trash. So best wishes to Jalen. Hopefully you get back next week against the Detroit Lions because we're going to need all hands on deck. But at the end of it for right now, hopefully we don't have many injuries to the offensive line like we did against the Vegas Raiders. You can survive a game against the Raiders. They're terrible, except for tonight, apparently. You can survive against the Vegas Raiders. Going up against a team like Cincinnati, even without Joe Burrow in their house, yeah, you're going to need all the equipment. So hopefully the injury bug was all out of our system last week. Let's get back to the chat. 28-0 Raiders. Wow. Hope you didn't have the under in that first half if you partake in such things because they just blew it out of the water all by themselves. Reset button. If you didn't wipe your feet at the door, hit that like button for me and hit that share button on any platform you want. It's all good. It's all good. All right. I got to scroll back up here. Where did I leave off? The next loss is the Bengals. No. Stop it. Stop it, Too Evil. Mary says the tribute the yearbook has a tribute to Coach Rand. Okay. Shout out to Gary for the $49.90. I appreciate you, Gary. I am truly humbled. Forever you want entered, but North Feast has to be one. All right, fair enough. I'll divvy him up. Naylor, I had high hopes for him, but you're right. He hasn't lived up to them. I'll give you that. I like it, Greg. Oh, Lord, KOC without Madison, what will he do? You ain't lying. Sometimes you have to just take the temptation away. Sometimes you just have to do that. Shout out to Dave Thibodeau in the building. What's going on, Dave? Good to see you, my brother. And some hellos and all that. Yeah, they are mollywop. I don't understand. I get it. They don't have Justin Herbert. That's right. They don't have Justin Herbert, but 28-0. We got a house call from the doctor. Shout out Dr. Proto. What's going on, doctor? Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you. The Raiders can't fix a lagging offense, can we? Yeah, well, hopefully. We'll get into that. Shout out, Gil. Hey, Gil, what's going on? Appreciate you. Watch him get all of Madison's care. Well, I certainly hope not. I mean, I don't mind him getting about, 5 or 6 carries. Maybe a couple of them at the goal line. But no, let's not make him 15-20. Absolutely not. Sodak says, let's fly him to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I can zap him up. There you go. All right. Fair enough. Let's see. 28-0. 28-0. They couldn't they could barely buy a first down last week, and they got 4 touchdowns on the board. It's unbelievable. All right, let's move on to the next one, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Nick Mullins. Excuse me. It's out of order. I set this up earlier. Production value. Nick Mullins has earned the starting position. I don't know if he's earned it as much as, hey, we've just been desperate. Record-setting number of starting quarterbacks for the Minnesota Vikings this season. Okay? Record-setting number. This is our 4th starting quarterback this season. What's really hilarious about it is all offseason, well, Kirk Cousins never gets injured, so we don't have to worry about our backup quarterback situation. We just need to get a guy in here to develop. Well, now we have started 4. Nick Mullins, come on down. You're the next contestant in KOC's Price is Wrong. But I digress. Nick Mullins had a little something to say to the media about how excited he was, how excited his family was. And once again, this thing conks out on me. I'm really going to have to talk to my internet provider. But I digress. Here we go. Nick Mullins.
Yeah, they are, actually. They're very excited. Bless my wife. She's like, I don't want to fly with 2 little boys. But then I asked a 4-year-old, like, do you want to go? He's like, yeah, I want to go. So I'm like, all right, yeah, he wants to go. Let him go. So she's going to have to fly with him. And should be a fun experience.
We certainly do hope it is a fun experience. Now, he did say he had 2 kids, but one of them was like 2 or 3 years old, and he's going to stay home, grandma or aunts and uncles or something. But good thing we're going to Cincinnati and not Philadelphia for your first start, not only from a team perspective, but from a fan's perspective as well. So Nick Mullins, he started 17 games regular season wise in his career. He's 5-12. So let's temper our expectations a little bit. I know we're just looking for something a little bit more consistent than Josh Dobbs. Okay, not much of a bar to set. But having said that, Nick Mullins was given the start, and we can all figure out why. KOC wants to run the offense the way he ran it with Kirk Cousins, and Nick Mullins, at the moment, in his determination, is the one who's going to be able to do the best with it. I'm not convinced, but then again, I'm not a head coach in the NFL, and I'm not at practice every day. I am going to say this. I have wanted it to be Jaren Hall because I wanted not only a guy that has a balance between being a pocket passer and a runner, and I wanted to see him for what we got for the rest of the season, but what's done is done, and what's gone is gone. Kirk Cousins ain't walking through that door. So Nick Mullins gets the start. And Nick Mullins, let's not act, and I've said this a few times, Nick Mullins has a propensity to turn the ball over. He's a bit of a gunslinger. I mean, he's not at the level of Josh Allen or Brett Favre, that sort of thing, but total 27 touchdowns and 23 interceptions. Not exactly a good enough ratio. So for anybody going out there saying, oh, we just need Nick Mullins to run the offense, not turn the ball over, and have our defense win. Okay, I can listen to that. That's good for a good regular season win. I feel a little bit better about it for our next 2 home games against Detroit and Green Bay. Out on the road in Cincinnati in December, I don't know. Having said that, I was just talking to my daughter earlier tonight, and she's just like, it doesn't feel like it's 10 days away from Christmas. It doesn't feel like it's December in Minnesota. Yeah, we haven't had any snow yet. Of course, now that I said that, we'll probably get 2 feet of snow by the end of next week. But Nick Mullins got every opportunity in front of him. We talked about the offensive line. You're going to get 80% of your starting offensive linemen out there and a decent backup at right tackle. You don't have your starting running back, but we've already ad nauseum gone through how maybe Alexander Madison is just a backup anyway. So you got your speedy running back and you got your wide receiver core healthy. I know right now Justin Jefferson is officially listed as questionable, but as I said earlier, I 100% Justin Jefferson. I 100% expect Justin Jefferson to play. I expect him to go for over 100 yards and at least 1 touchdown. SKOL for Life Barber earlier in the chat said, hey, I see him going for 2 tutties, whatever. He's going to want to show out. He's going to want to get back onto the field because he was only out there for what? A quarter last week, 2 catches, 27 yards before he got lit up. And as I said, going up against his old buddy Jamar Chase, oh yeah, he's going to want to show something. As I said last week with Josh Dobbs, now that you have Justin Jefferson back, you've got all your weapons, but don't force the ball to him just to force the ball to him. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. So for right now, anyway, I'm just going to say it like this. Just be you, Nick. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to be Kirk. You're not Kirk. That's okay. Just take what the defense gives you off the bat. Don't turn the ball over. Okay? It seems like football 101, but this Minnesota Vikings team has a propensity to turn the ball over. Okay. Defense, we'll talk about them shortly. They've been covering you. They said, we got your back last week. We'll just pitch a shutout, so all we need is a field goal. Oh, boy. 1 field goal is not going to get it done against the Bengals. With or without Joe Burrow, they still got their weapons, too. Talking about T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, etc., Boyd, and all those other guys. And Joe Mixon, he's no joke either. He is no joke. He is a bowling ball of a guy to tackle. So offensively, you have got to get at least 24 points on the board, at least offensively. Now, if you get 21 and you maybe get a defensive or a special teams touchdown, okay. But offensively, you got to have 21 to 24 points on the board. You cannot expect your defense to carry you all the time. Nick Mullins, okay. Coach has more faith in you than he does Jaren Hall. And say what you want about this coach, good, bad, or indifferent. So at the end of it for me, to wrap up Nick Mullins, hey, this is your time to shine. But I will say this to wrap up this Nick Mullins talk. Can we stop with this nonsense about, hey, can Nick Mullins do what Jeff George and Case Keenum did? Yeah, we've been saying that for a couple of weeks about Josh Dobbs. How about we let the guy play a game or two before we talk about what Nick Mullins can and cannot do vis-a-vis getting this Vikings team to a playoffs? Yes, Case Keenum came in game 2 and had a magic carpet ride. That's all well and good, culminating with the Minneapolis Miracle. No, it didn't culminate with the NFC Championship game because after drive 1, we didn't do 2 things but diddly and poo. But I digress. Jeff George, yes, he came in at the halfway point of game 6 and started the remaining 10 games, win 8-2, still lost in the divisional round of the playoffs to the eventual champions in the St. Louis Rams. But let's just let the guy play a little bit. Let's just rely on our defense for right now before we start talking about, can we go on another magic carpet ride with another backup quarterback? We've been saying that since Kirk Cousins went down. Let's slow our roll there. Please, let's slow our roll there. All right, reset button. If you haven't already done so, wipe your feet at the door, hit that like button, share this out, hit that subscribe button. And a reminder, all donations tonight on the Super Chats as well as Purple and Gopher Days on the Cash App go towards the fundraiser of my daughter's field trip to the Big Apple and Washington, D.C. And we still do get some matching contributions from the educational system as well. Shout out to SKOL for Life Barber for the $5 donation on the Cash App. Speaking of that, thank you so kindly, David. I appreciate you. I appreciate you very, very much. So let me see if I can find a chat from SKOL for Life. Put it in there so I can put that up on the screen for you. Let me get some shouts because I know we got some new people in the building here. Let's see what we got going on. Why does this thing never, ever save where I was? Who's calling? Who's playing QB for the Raiders tonight? I don't know. According to ESPN, it does say Aiden O'Connell, even though they have Derek Carr's picture up there. Good job, ESPN marketing. Good job, you guys. Shout out Yogi. What is going on, Yogi? Good to see you, my brother. Good to see you. Chargers defense certainly not the same as ours. No, definitely not. Definitely not. That is just embarrassing. A team that didn't score any points last week is now got 35. Really? Oh, that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. Sodak says we can definitely figure out something here. Oh, yeah, you guys talking about Skull. All right, yeah. You guys talking about tattoos. All right, some hellos. Another score update. Shout out Dylan in the building. What's up, Dylan? Thanks for joining tonight. Pumped up for Saturday. Yes, sir. Yes, we are. Because I think this is the toughest game left on our schedule if the Lions keep playing the way they've been playing. I honestly do. This is going to be a tough challenge on the road, but I think we can get them. Shout out to Lord Duncan. Sorry for the late. Hey, you know what? As long as you get here, it's all good. That's the great thing about YouTube. You can rewind it and watch from the beginning afterwards. But thank you so kindly, Lord Duncan, for joining as always. Aiden O'Connell, 11 completions, 3 touchdowns. That's pathetic. All right, Ryan, what you got for me? So what's everybody's menu for Saturday? We might go to breakfast. Okay. Okay. All right. I can see that. I don't know. I get my daughter back tomorrow night, so I got to figure out what she wants to do. Because last time I picked the menu, this time she picking it a little bit. So we'll see what she's got. But I'll let you know on the Purple and Gold pregame show at 11:10 Central Time. Oh, really? Yeah. I'm jealous, doctor. I'm jealous. All right. Did I miss anybody? You guys got a nice conversation going, so I'm not going to put them all up here, but Chargers might be on the phone with Brian. Yeah, you ain't lying. You are not lying. No, Chargers, you cannot have Brian Flores. You cannot have him. All right, what do we got next? Well, I had it out of order, so I better make sure I put it up here right. Jaren Hall, the Hall monitor, was given the backup position. Finally, he's moving up the ranks. He should have never been behind as far as he was anyway, in my opinion. But let's hear from Kevin O'Connell, see what he had to say real quick about why he decided to put Jared Mahomes Hall as his backup quarterback on the off chance something happens to Nick Mullins.
We're going to go in with Jaron as the 2 and Josh as the emergency 3. They'll all be obviously suited up. We'll go through our normal process with those guys with this game plan, making sure whoever's in the game that they feel good about the things that I'm calling. And, the way this season's going, we're have a process in place now to be prepared for just about everything.
Yes, I've had high hopes for Jaron Hall. I was hoping that he would be able to sit this season under the tutelage of Kevin O'Connell and watch Kirk Cousins, and that whole thing got blown up. I like this kid. I really do. He exudes leadership. He exudes qualities in a quarterback. Yeah, is he as talented as Kirk Cousins? No, not yet, and probably unlikely to be by the end of his career, but who knows? But I like this kid. Again, he's the perfect balance between the mobile quarterback and the pocket quarterback. That's why I wanted to see him out there. And I said, if Kevin O'Connell decides to put Josh Dobbs as the backup quarterback and Jaron Hall as the emergency third quarterback, I would have been irate. I wish nothing but the best for Nick Mullins. We cheer on whoever our team is out there on the field. It's not like we're hoping it goes bad so that Jaron Hall can get in there, or we're hoping for injury. That's not at all what we're saying. We want our team to win, unless you're too evil to hope. We want our team to win every game they go out there. But having said that, I'm really happy because we're one step closer. Because obviously that means that all of this nonsense about, well, Jaron Hall's not ready for this, we don't want to put him out there in a situation where he might not succeed. Well, isn't that what you did with Josh Dobbs, putting him out there in a position to not succeed to a certain extent? I'm not letting Josh Dobbs off the hook here. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just so happy that we finally get to see him at least be elevated to the backup quarterback. And if something happens, I like our chances. I said right there, I've said it for weeks. I would start Hall the rest of the season to see what we got, and because I think he's the best quarterback we have on roster right now. Now I'm a little biased because it's finally a guy that we drafted, and it's a guy that I want to work out long term for us. But we're one step closer to Jared Mahomes Hall, so we'll see. We'll see. All right, back to the comments here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so kindly, as always, for everybody for joining me. I think I saw one more, but all right, what do you got, to Evil? KOC has so little faith in Mullins and Dobbs. Okay, come on, dude. I'm ignorant of time zones. I'm stuck in Brazil. Is it the same as our game? Okay, so our game time is 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I'm going to do my pregame show at 11:10. So basically an hour before game time. Basically an hour before game time is when I do my pregame show. Oh, come on now. Nah, no, Lord. No. All right, what do you got for me, Greg? I think the way the owners are, we are unlikely to ever see much of. Yeah, probably. And I said that on, was it Monday or Tuesday? As long as this team is in a playoff hunt, they're going to go with a wily veteran that they think is the safest play. I understand it to a point. Again, coaches, owners, they don't think like fans. They're not forward thinking. They think about today. They think about this season and nothing more and nothing less. But having said that, I'm just glad that if something does happen to Mullins, that it will be Hall. I don't want to see any more Josh Dobbs. I want nothing more to do with him. No offense. Not trying to be mean to the guy personally. I'm just saying, I'm just kind of over it. I know what we got, which is absolutely nothing. So, all right. Next up, what do we got next? Did you guys hear what Kurt Warner said? Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame quarterback, on his YouTube channel or his podcast or whatever the heck it was. I put it up there, onto something or on something. Well, actually, I didn't put it up there that way because it wouldn't fit in the little box there. But is Kurt Warner onto something or on something? He says that Josh Dobbs should still be the starting quarterback. He says that Josh Dobbs, it wasn't all his fault, that he watched the tape and the receivers weren't getting open and Kevin O'Connell wasn't play calling good routes for him and his receivers, and that there were a lot of drop passes. Okay, there were 2 drop passes, one by TJ Hawkinson, one by KJ Osborne. I'll give him that. But Josh Dobbs looked so terrible, and he had plenty of opportunities. To say that Josh Dobbs never had any open receivers, had Justin Jefferson open and got him killed darn near. But it does raise an interesting question, because I did have a chance to quickly review some of what he said and some of the videos that he had on the YouTube clip. And yeah, some of the routes were easily defendable because you had multiple guys in the same spot where literally one defender could realistically account for 2 wide receivers in the row. So I'm going to half agree with Warner by saying that Josh Dobbs wasn't entirely put into a position to be successful. And I'll throw it to T-Bass there a little bit because he's already made his opinion of Kevin O'Connell quite clear. But to say that Josh Dobbs should still be the starting quarterback, I'm sorry, you're on something. If you think there is a reason this guy has bounced around. 5 teams this year alone, was 1-7, 1-8 with the Arizona Cardinals. He came in and he was an element of surprise. But guess what? That lasted a game and a half. And he was so bad against Chicago and so bad against the Raiders that it's not just about one game. It's about basically 2.5 games where he has done absolutely nothing. The Vikings, 3 points second half against the Saints, 10 points against Chicago, and 3 points against the Raiders. 2.5 games, and you're talking about 16 points. Yeah, maybe Kevin O'Connell didn't do as good a job as he needed to. Maybe he should have dumbed down the offense a little bit. Maybe he was too prideful. But to say that Josh Dobbs should still be our starting quarterback. Come on, dude. Now, listen, you're the Hall of Fame quarterback. You know more about this stuff. You'll forget more about this stuff than I'll ever know. Put it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Is Kurt Warner onto something, or is he just straight up on something? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not willing to say he's totally crazy because there's some parts of that are true about maybe Kevin O'Connell didn't do the best job, but to say that he should still be the starter, I'm sorry. I ain't listening to that. I am not listening to that at all. All right, what you guys got going on here for me? Y'all chatting up a storm tonight, and I appreciate every person in the building so far and every person who'll come on through. As I have said many times, and as other content creators have said, you guys make this so much fun. You guys, you're all we need to get by when we're doing a live show, particularly by ourselves. You know, when I'm doing a show with Rap or I'm doing a show with Dave or with I'm GG guys and whatever else, it's one thing to have people to bounce stuff off, but when you're sitting here by yourself, you guys are the ones that really help us out. So we do appreciate that. I have no idea where you're going with that, so I'm just going to move on. Too Evil says, Kurt Warner officially smoking crack. All right. He's on something. All right, there you go. Shout out Dayon. What's going on, Dayon? Good to see you. Been a minute. Good to see you. Appreciate you guys coming by. Mary says, what the H is he even on? Or we want what he's on. There you go. There you go. Greg says, disagree about Dobbs still being the starter, but is pointing out the play choices and game plan are valid. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, too. That's kind of where I'm at. Kurt Warner was bagging groceries at one point, came Super Bowl winning quarterback. Maybe Kurt should go back to bagging those groceries instead of analyzing film. I appreciate that. Shout out, nephew. JJ Vikings in the building. What's going on, JJ? Good to see you. All right. I knew T-Bass was going to say something. In defense of him, the receivers weren't getting open the last 3 games. I'll listen to that. JJ was getting open before he got killed. Warner did just drop into a prime situation. That's true. That is true. He had 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers, a Hall of Fame running back, a pretty good defense, and an outstanding offensive line. Yeah, you know, that's not a bad starting point. Dr. Proto, you are kidding me. 42 points in the first half alone. Oh, man. That is just unreal. All righty. For the sake of conversation, yeah. The line was Vegas by 3.5 with an over-under of 37. The Vegas Raiders by themselves in the first half hit the over. Hope you didn't bet the under tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Kirk pushing for a call for a I don't know what he's thinking. Everybody so far says he is on something. Everybody says so far he's on something. So as much as we respect Kurt, he's absolutely wrong about keeping out as the starter. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Anytime, nephew, anytime. That short buzz hair. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh. Shout out Luminous Grin. What's going on with the Raiders? Say all their starters. Maybe. Who knows? 42-0. That's the thing. We need the Vikings to get a 42 burger on somebody, even if it's for the whole game. I'm not saying it's got to be 42.5, but oh my gosh, 42 points. But Luminous, thanks for coming. Appreciate you. Would anybody be interested in bringing in flat? Well, not anymore. We can't. And a great offensive coordinator. Yes. And you know what? Their coach. Oh, what was his name? Dick Vermeil. He was a pretty good coach in his time. In his time. As Jim Ross would say, by God, the Chargers are broken in half. You ain't lying, Ryan. You ain't lying. Chargers are either the worst good team or the best. Yeah, the best of the lousies and the lousies are the best. You are correct. Okay, I apologize, and I'm not going to have any time to go back to get it. I had a banner for the defense, and unfortunately, it did not upload. So we're just going to go with Mini-Me and maybe entice you guys a little bit. But I digress. Thank you, everybody who has donated here so far. And reminder that we still get matching contributions. And again, $5 increments go into Mary's prize. What's Mary's prize this week? Well, let's get that back up here too real quick. We got the Vikings 2024 calendar as well as the Vikings 2024 yearbook. And as Mary pointed out, and you can see it right there in the lower right-hand corner, there's a special tribute to Bud Grant there as well. So help me out, please. Pretty please. All right. Defensively, Ivan Pace, congratulations on the Defensive Player of the Week. As I said on Sunday night show with Rap and on my Monday night show, it would be a Greek tragedy if Ivan Pace hadn't gotten the NFL Defensive Player of the Week. Well-deserved with his performance, 13 tackles, 5 solos, a sack, and an interception that sealed the game. And again, I can't talk enough about Josh Metellus and how well he has adapted himself to Brian Flores, as well as Cam Bynum. Both of those safeties are just absolutely on top of the world. I said it on Monday that Harrison Smith was the third safety, and somebody's like, he's not the third. Okay, what I meant by that is production-wise, Harrison Smith is just being the old wily veteran. I wasn't saying it like there's a depth chart. Of course, I know Harrison Smith's like the starting, safety back there. But the point is we run so many 3 safety sets that pretty much all 3 of them are starters. But what I'm saying is, and again, Harrison Smith is still coming on blitzes every once in a while. Hasn't gotten to the quarterback, I think, since either San Francisco or did he was it Carolina? I don't remember the last time. But he's come on some blitzes every once in a while, and a lot of times they've ended up being run plays. But him being back there as the steadying force, allowing Bynum and Josh Metellus to do their thing. It's unbelievable what Brian Flores has done. And again, Marcus Davenport, we're not hearing from him. I seriously doubt he's going to be back. I mean, nothing personal against the guy, but $13 million, you're stealing. You're absolutely stealing. But hey, he ain't the one who gave himself that contract. So I'm not mad at him. I'm just saying I would love to know what this defense would have been with him. And mind you, this is with the guy who was ultimately the heart and soul of this defense, Jordan Hicks, having gone down. His last couple of games, they haven't missed a beat without him. Now, hopefully we can get him back. I've said, yes, next week is the first official week that he could theoretically come back. He ain't going to be back next week. The very earliest he would be back against the Packers on New Year's Eve, and I still doubt he'll be there. And I dare say that if we've got the whole thing wrapped up or we can't move anything in week 18 against Detroit, we won't see him. But really need him back for the playoffs because the competition level is going to go up. And I'm not taking anything away from what Flores and the defense has done, because you go on the road and pitch a shutout. I don't care who you're playing, particularly a team that's got 42 points on the board in the first half of their Thursday night football game on 3 days rest. So that makes the defensive performance look even better than what it really was in reality. In reality, it was outstanding, and now it looks just supernatural, apparently. Either that or the Chargers defense is just that horrible. But anyway, all I'm going to say is this. Defensively, you're going to need to carry the water. And you're going to need to carry the water for the rest of the season unless Nick Mullins really finds his rhythm and unless Nick Mullins does turn into Jeff George and Case Keenum, which slow our roll on that. Defense, it's your team now. We went into this. We're going to get rid of Zimmer. We're going to get an offensive-minded head coach. We're going to find a guy that can get something more out of Kirk Cousins and all this other good stuff. We're going to be an offensive team. And last year, for the most part, we were. And that was what the idea was coming into this season. But since Kirk Cousins went down, this defense had been steadily improving even before Kirk went down. Yeah, started off 0-3 while they were still trying to get their things together. Started off 1-4 after that. But the defense is part of the reason why, although Deebo Samuel not being there might have had a little something to do with it as well as Trent Williams. But the defense has been the reason we've been winning these games because it sure hasn't been the offense. Even in Kurt's last game, 24 points against the Packers. Yeah, that's good, but it ain't great. You only gave up 10 points. Okay, this defense has gotten better and better each week. They haven't missed Marcus Davenport. They haven't missed Jordan Hicks. Would love to get at least Hicks, if not both of those guys, back for the playoff run, as we said. But having said that, you're going to have to carry. And they've got a challenge. You can talk all you want about Browning. You talk all you want about that Joe Burrow's not there. Yeah, if Joe Burrow was there, I would say that the Vikings were going to lose by at least 10 points. even with how well this defense is played, until we see something of consequence and consistency from our offense. But for right now, defense, you got to get Jake Browning off of his spot. You cannot let that guy get into rhythm with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Boyd and Joe Mixon. He's still got weapons around him too. You know, we talk about Nick Mullins having Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson. Okay, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, they're right there. That might be the two best wide receiver duo plus tight ends in the NFL. So we're going to see a lot of mirror images in these offenses. And for right now, anyway, I would say Cincinnati's offense is a touch higher than ours because their backup quarterback has been in there. Now, the downside of that, and where the Vikings might have an advantage, is we saw what happened when you put in a backup quarterback. They're usually good for a game or two, and then you get film on them, and then we say, okay, there's a reason why this guy's a backup. There's a reason why this guy is just who he is. There's a reason the Vikings let him go. I mean, aside from the fact that, you know, we couldn't possibly have somebody that could have challenged Kirk Cousins for the starting position, but I digress. Point is this: hopefully Brian Flores be able to get enough. He's gotten enough tape on this guy to say, okay, I see what he does well. I know what he does well, and I know his smell, as Paul Allen would say. Hopefully Brian Flores be able to continue to bring the pressure. But here's what I will say. The cornerbacks and the safeties are going to have to be on their P's and Q's because Brian Flores is probably going to bring more pressure than he did last week. Last week, he just rushed 3 or 4 at most times because he knew the quarterback wasn't going to be able to hurt him. Focused in on the run game. You are going to need to focus in on stopping Joe Mixon. You absolutely are going to need to do that. He's no joke. And you've got to be form tacklers. You can't be missing tackles left and right against this guy. Otherwise, he'll run off 15, 20 yards at a time. He's still got it going on right now. And as I was saying about the cornerbacks, they're going to be put in a lot of one-on-one situations. They are, because I think Flores is going to blitz the heck out of this guy. So Byron Murphy, Caleb Evans, Mekhi Blackman, you guys are up. You got a challenge. But guess what? You face Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in practice every week. So if any team defensively is going to be prepared to go up against that dynamic duo, is the team that goes up against a rather comparable dynamic duo every day in practice. So I'll say this. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be close. The Vikings ain't beating nobody 42-0. They're not beating anybody 42-35. It's going to have to be one defensively. And that's just how it's going to have to be for the rest of the season. You know, you got 2 games against the Lions. Their defense is terrible, but their offense is on point. It's going to have to be about Brian Flores and this defense moving forward. Unless, as I said, Nick Mullins can, you know, catch some fairy dust and go on a magic carpet ride. So defensively, be on your P's and Q's. Keep doing what you've been doing. Knock somebody, you know, get to Browning, get him off his spot early, make him feel you early, let him have happy feet to try to neutralize Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and company, and stop that run game. In fact, I would venture to say stop the run at all costs and let your DBs go one-on-one. And I think that's probably what his strategy is going to be. They're going to run blitz and they're going to pass blitz and they're going to leave their cornerbacks on islands, which it could either be, what's the phrase? Biblically, whatever. It's either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. I don't think it's going to be anywhere in the middle. Historically good or biblically bad. That's the phrase I was looking for. It's either going to be historically good or biblically bad. But I think our cornerbacks can be up to the challenge, particularly if we can get some pressure. That's going to be the key to this game defensively. And like I said, I don't expect them to hold the Bengals to 14 points or less. That's an unrealistic expectation. You hold that team to 14 points, you dang well better win that game. Unlike a couple weeks ago where we held the Bears to 12 points and still found a way to lose. Lost 2 games by a total of 3 points. Defense deserved better in both of those games. But with all that being said, defense, you got your work cut out for you. But I think you're going to be up to the challenge. But we'll see. All right, let's hit that reset button one more time. Before I do that, though, I got to send a link out to T-Bass. Reminder, anybody who's a member, if you want to get on the mic, always get an invitation to get on the mic on the Monday and Thursday shows. But I need to send T-Bass this notification and this link so that he can get in here. He wants to share a few things. He had some interesting questions. So we're going to get him on real quick. Here we go. All right, T-Bass, you want to get in? Link is sent to you. All right, I got to bunch of comments I got to get to here. And I know there's a couple new people here, so I got to shout you guys out. You know how we do it. 42 points. I'm still mind blown by that. Shout out my guy, Mike Sports Vibe. What's going on, Mike? Give that man a sub too. If y'all don't subscribe to him again, he's in Philly and he's a Vikings fan. Now he does talk Philadelphia 76ers, but just watch his Vikings videos. Give my man a sub. Appreciate you. Let's vibe, Mike. Come vibe with me. I appreciate you. Hey, I appreciate you, Lord. It's all good. Whenever. It's all good. Shout out Caesar. What's going on? Yeah, 42-0 at halftime. And he has the Raiders defense. Well, of course he does. But I appreciate you coming by. Yeah, I still cannot believe the Raiders got 42 on the board. We shut them out last week, and they came back with a vengeance. They said, you know what? We got to get our average up, and we just put up a 0, so we better get something going on there. Yes, Ivan Pace is absolutely a beast. Next year, he better be number 0 after we kick Marcus Davenport to the curb, if he wants it anyway. I agree, Caesar. I said this earlier before you got here. So happy that Hall's number 2. Absolutely. Yes. That was going to be my last topic before I get to playoffs, but thanks for bringing it up. Let's just go ahead and do that now. So there was a report on Score North that some cap guy projected Kirk Cousins' potential contract after this season. 2 years, $60 million. To that I say, well, maybe I could see that. My stance on Kirk Cousins is clear. I think we've gone as far as we can with him. Now, yes, this year with this defense and this offensive line playing together, maybe instead of getting to the divisional round, which is what I've said his cap has always been, maybe would have pushed through. I'm going to say this right now, just to be clear, even with Kirk Cousins, let's just say we hadn't lost Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. We were 1-4 with those guys. So the only 2 games that we lost were Denver and Chicago. Yes, I think we would have won against Denver and Chicago. And then instead of being 7-6, we'd be 9-4. We're still not better than Dallas. We're still not better than San Francisco. And I don't care that we beat them. They weren't at full strength. They're at full strength now. And they are full tank coming for everybody. And they're taking no prisoners. But if we had to go on the road to San Francisco, even with Kirk Cousins, no, I don't like our chances. In Philly, no, don't like our chances. Even in Dallas, don't like our chances. But having said that, what I have always said was, I am not interested in bringing Kirk Cousins back on a $45-50 million a year deal for a 36-year-old quarterback who's just coming off an Achilles. I said that even more because I'll remind people, with all these void years and dead money that they've pushed out and kicked the can down the road, Kirk Cousins has $28.5 million of liability left on the cap. If they don't re-sign him, all $28.5 will be due and be dead money on the 2024 cap. Now, if they extend him for, let's just say 2 years, then of that $28.5 million, 10.25 will go on both 24 and 25. And then the other 8 will be due in 26, unless they extend him again. I am not interested in bringing Kirk Cousins back on a $40-45 million contract because then his cap hit would be $50 to $55 million. That ain't going to work. You're not going to be able to do that. Re-sign Justin Jefferson, re-sign Christian Darrisaw, and re-sign Danielle Hunter. And even if you found a way to have all 4 of those guys back by kicking money down the road, you still wouldn't have any money to maintain this team, or you'd be pushing money into the future. Now, 2 years, $60 million. I still don't like the idea, but I could live with that. I could live with it because then his cap hits would be 40 and 40 for that 2-year extension. I still don't like it. It's still not a move that I would make. But if the Vikings were going to re-sign him, that is the maximum I would give him. I'd offer him 2 years, $45 million, to which he would reject. And the highest I would go is 2 years, $60 million. But for all of the people that don't want Kirk back, let's be very, very clear about one thing. This segment was going to be short because it's much ado about nothing. There is no way Kirk Cousins is accepting a 2-year, $60 million deal. He's not. He was lighting it up. He has seen the NFL lose all of their starting quarterbacks and how much bad quarterback play there is. He saw Daniel Jones get $40 million on average. There is no chance on God's green earth. There is no planet in the multiverse. I don't care if you're DC or Marvel, whatever multiverse you follow. There is no way in the multiverse that Kirk Cousins would take 2 years, $60 million. Now, if it's March and he takes that, I'll bring this tape back up and I'll say I was wrong. But what I don't want more than anything, I don't want the Vikings to feel like they are so desperate that they just give in to Kirk's demands and give him 40-45 million a year. If that happens, I will be upset. If they somehow got Kirk Cousins for 30 million a year for 2 years, okay, I guess. But again, I'm still talking about a 35-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles. So I see you, T-Bass. Give me a couple of minutes to let me get these last chats that I haven't gotten to yet, and then I'm going to talk about the playoff. You know what? I'll come. I'll get you on before I do the playoff bit. I'll get you on before that. I know you guys got it. In the Zone podcast. What's up, Zoe? Good to see you. Get my boy a sub there as well. Voluminous, get some defensive TDs. We might need one. Might absolutely need one here. There's a lot of skulls to Zoe here. All right. What am I? Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, Too Evil. Which one? All right. I got to answer Too Evil's question. I think it might have actually been. All right. Do you honestly want a wild card loss more than a top 10 draft pick? Okay. I'll say it like this. I'm never going to cheer for them to lose. Is there some arguments to be made that there is more intrinsic value, forward thinking in the long term for the Vikings to have a top 10 pick if they were somehow, some way to lose all 4 of these games versus getting the wild card round and lose? Yes. Getting to the wild card round and losing is better in the short term. Losing the last 4 is better in the long term. I'm not saying that I would want that. No, I'll answer your question. Do you honestly want a wild card loss more than a top 10 draft pick? Yes. And I'll say it like this. You would have to lose all 4 games. I am not cheering for them on New Year's Eve to lose to the Packers. Rule number 1, you always cheer for the Vikings to win against the Packers, period, point blank. Don't care if you're a tank person or not, whether you're saying short-term pains for long-term gains. The trump card, so to speak, is you always play to beat the Packers. Always. End of story. So in order to get that top 10 pick, we'd have to lose all 4 games, and I'm not fin to say, yeah, let's lose to the Packers. So there you go, Too Evil. I answered your question. I get what you're saying. This defense maybe can squeak out a win, though. Maybe. Long shot, I know. Shout out, Mick. What's going on? I'm thinking the Chargers will be looking for a new head coach in the morning. Yeah, they might be looking for one right now. Shout out, Swerve. What's going on? Yeah, I cannot believe 42-0. I cannot believe. All right, y'all. I'm just going to. What Hall progression we talking about? Well, he is going to be the backup. I'm not seeing. What if you bring him back for 1 more year and you love Hall progression? Well, no, I'm not interested in it at all. And by the way, Kirk's not going to accept a 1-year deal. So this thing that they put out there today is all well and good. Kirk ain't accepting it, and he's also not accepting a 1-year deal. All right, T-Bass, I'm getting you, but I got to get the shout out to Gary for the $9.99, 10 more bones, another entry for Gary. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, without further ado, Mr. T-Bass, what is going on, my brother? Thank you kindly for waiting. How are you this evening?
No big deal. What's up, everybody?
T-Bass.
I wrote down some stuff. This is probably interesting for everybody. Now, we're always talking about drafting the quarterback and stuff. To me, there's 3 theories. Either you draft a quarterback and keep on drafting a quarterback until you get it right, if you ever do, or you bring in somebody that you know can be a quality starter, like the Vikings did with Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Or you have a quality quarterback and then you draft somebody to have ready when that person leaves. To me, that's the 3 things. All right. So what I'm talking about, I'm not saying we need to keep Kirk. We need to let Kirk down, which is the best way. But I think everybody will find this interested and try to keep track here. All right. I wrote down every quarterback drafted in the first 2 rounds in the last 15 years. And there's some people that you're not even going to remember.
Probably not.
Who in the hell was that guy? Yeah. And if you do say that, there's a good chance he probably went to Notre Dame. I'm serious.
All righty. Give us the list, Steve-Ass.
So it's going to be let's put this in 4 categories. Franchise quarterback, Kirk Cousins capability, below average starter, and then a B, either for bust or backup, or whatever you want to call it.
All right.
And so don't grade somebody on, well, he would have been really good if he didn't get hurt, like Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
I got Luck as a bust because, let's face it, he got hurt. He played, 3 years?
Oh, I think more than 3, but I get your point.
Okay, so 2009, number 1, Matt Stafford, Detroit. Number 5, Sanchez, the Jets. Number 17, Josh Freeman, Tampa Bay. Number 44, Pat White, Miami. Don't remember him.
I remember the name, but yeah, he was terrible.
2010, number 1, Sam Bradford, the Rams. Number 25, Tim Tebow, Denver. Number 46, Jimmy Clausen, Carolina.
Ugh.
2011, Cam Newton, Carolina. Number 8, Jake Locker, Tennessee. Number 10, Blaine Gabbert,
You know
Jacksonville.
who number 11 is?
12, though. 12 was Ponder.
Oh, 12. Yeah.
33 was Andy Dalton, Cincinnati. 36 was Colin Kaepernick, San Diego. 2012, Andrew Luck, Indy at 1. Number 2 was Robert Griffin, 3rd, Washington. Number 8 was Ryan Tannehill, Miami. Number 22, Brandon Whedon, Cleveland. Number 57, Brock Osweiler, Denver. 2013, number 16, E.J. Manuel, Buffalo. Number 39, Geno Smith. 2014, Blake Bortles, Jacksonville at the 1st overall. Number 22 was Johnny Manziel, Cleveland. Number 32 was Teddy for the Vikings. Number 36 was Derek Carr. And number 62 was Jimmy G. 2050, Jameis Winston, Tampa, number 1 overall. Number 2 overall, Marcus Mariota, Tennessee. 2016, Jared Goff, Rams. Number 2 overall was Carson Wentz, Philly. Number 51 was Christian Hackensberg. Never heard of him, the Jets. 2017, number 2 overall, Mitchell Trubisky. Number 10 was Patrick Mahomes. Number 12 was Deshaun Watson, Houston. Number 52 was Deshaun Kaiser.
Oh, Deshaun Kaiser,
Yeah, Cleveland. He was another Notre Dame kid, I think.
Right?
All right, 2018, Baker Mayfield, Cleveland. Number 2 overall, Sam Darnold, the Jets. Number 7 overall, Josh Allen, Buffalo. 10 was Josh Rosen, Arizona. 32, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore. 2019, Kyler Murray, the Cardinals. Number 6 was Daniel Jones. Number 15 was Dwayne Haskins, Washington. Number 42 was Drew Lock, Denver. 2020, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati. Tuga for Miami. Justin Herbert, Chargers. 26 was Jordan Love. And 53 was Jalen Hurts. That was a pretty good draft class there for quarterback. 2021, Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville. Zach Wilson, Jets. Trey Lance, San Francisco. Justin Fields, the Bears. Mac Jones, New England. Kyle Trask, Tampa. 2022, Kenny Pickett. I didn't do 23. Now, how many franchise quarterbacks did you guys come out with?
I didn't keep count, but I get your point. I think it was about 7, probably.
Franchise guys? Wow. You're
Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts.
I would call Josh Allen's Kirk Cousins talent. What does he want?
Well, that's true. I will say that he did have the Buffalo Bills in position, but for the fact that Patrick Mahomes them at the end. But to your point, that one's close. That one's close for me. Justin Herbert, I would say franchise. Joe Burrow, I would say franchise. So that's 5. Who was the other ones? There was 1 or 2 more.
I got Cam Newton, Mahomes, and Burrow.
Yeah, Cam Newton would be 6. Okay, 6. But yeah, that's it.
So here's the thing. Common themes in that is certain teams. There was 56 total quarterbacks I just named in the last 15 years drafted in the first 2 rounds. The Jets did it 5 times. The Browns done it 4 times. Tampa's done it 3 times. Miami's done it 3 times. Denver's done it 3 times. Recent history, what did the Jets, Browns, Denver, and I guess you could say Tampa do? They kind of gave up on drafting and went out and just said, we're going to get a guy.
Right.
And wasting our draft picks every year. And, you know, Miami fell into
Tua.
To Tua. So that's out of these 56 things, these 4 teams drafted like 35 or it was like 33%
Yeah.
of QBs drafted went to these 5 teams because nothing's guaranteed.
No.
So my grading scale of the 56, 51.7% are either a bust or backup. 23% is a below average starter. 19% is Kirk Cousins level starter. And 5.3% is a franchise. That's just my grading.
Okay.
So, you know, everybody going out and saying, we got to get our, I mean, it's not guaranteed.
No.
I mean, I'm fine with it, but I hope people are fine to where you might have to draft a quarterback several times.
Yeah.
Several.
That is one thing that I have said is the alternative to that at this point is just running it back with Kirk Cousins over and over again. And this is not a slander on Kirk here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just be clear on that. I would say the same thing about Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott and Jared Goff as a couple of examples.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those deals where it is more likely that you're going to find somebody equal to or worse than what you have. But my contention has been, and I'm just speaking existentially right now, my contention has been, I would rather take the 5% risk, even if it blows up in your face. Because if it blows up in your face, are you really all that different off than what you would have been with one of those Kirk level guys if all we're doing is getting to the wild card or division round of the playoffs or getting to an NFC championship once every 10 years? In my lifetime, I was born in 79, so I got 87, 98, 2000, 2009, and 2017. That's 5 NFC championship games in my almost 45 years. So once every 9 years. To me, before Kevin O'Connell got here, I'm just like, okay, I know what Kirk Cousins is. He's a very good quarterback that's going to get you to the playoffs more often than not. But what have we done in the 5 years that we had Kirk Cousins? We've gone to the playoffs twice and got 1 playoff win.
I'm totally in agreement with that. I'm just saying, after I looked at this, it kind of makes sense what the Vikings did when went and signed Kurt at the beginning, because they were like, we're in win mode now. Let's bring a guy in that can. What I don't like is while we had Kurt, okay, so the theory, you know, Green Bay, while they had Rodgers, drafted Love. You know, everybody talks about Patrick Mahomes was this magical fix-all for Kansas City. Kansas City was an 11-win team for 2 straight years before they drafted, because they went out and traded for Alex Smith. So they had a quality starter. And so you can say, let's take a flyer on this guy. If it don't work out, well, we still got, you know, a decent
the good
team.
but not great guy.
Now the status of the Vikings is, and I'm fine not signing Kirk. But then, do you want to roll with whoever's on the team now and taking a guy that may a good percentage that he won't work out? You won't know for a couple years, and then you got to go.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
Through the carousel, it's a cycle, and like I said, look at what the Jets have been doing. Look at what Cleveland's been doing. I just, everybody thinks, this just draft classes. I guarantee there's years, I don't follow it that much, but it was a really big, this is a huge year for quarterback.
Yeah, they say that every year almost.
And some aren't even playing, or they just turned out to be bums.
Right.
High first round picks. It's a huge gamble, people.
Yes, it is a huge gamble. There's no question about that. To me, it's Yeah, you have to know what you have, but you also have to be realistic about it. This is something that we talked about when we chatted about this last night to get ready for the show today. The Vikings' mistake was not signing Kirk Cousins. It was the right move at the time.
Yeah.
The mistake was you signed him for a 3-year fully guaranteed contract, and you sold us on the idea that the defense was still going to be good and that Kirk was just enough of an upgrade to put us over the top, but we only signed him for 3 years. We didn't sign him to a 6-year deal. So if it doesn't work out, or if we see that we've gone as far as we can move off of him. The problem that they made was not moving off of him after 2019 and extending him 2 more years to try to keep a window open that everybody in the world knew was closed. That's
and even if they did do it, they weren't looking for the future of looking for a QB.
That's the other thing they did too. I totally agree.
You know, like
Green Bay
Chargers did in Green Bay, or even, you know, the Niners, they can just, okay, it doesn't work out, let's move on. Okay, Trey Lance didn't work out, let's move
think
on.
about that. They gave up 2 first-round picks in a third.
They traded Smith to Kansas City for, I think, 3 second-round picks or
something
whatever.
like that.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, there's a valid thing that, like, let somebody else draft these guys
and let them develop them. Let them be your farm system.
Develop them in instead of going through this carousel. So
I appreciate
I just thought people might find that interesting when you actually look at the cold hard facts and hear these names.
Yeah.
And how they were drafted and how a lot more than not they don't work out. One last thing. I've been doing a lot of research on what the hell KOC did for the Rams.
For the Rams, yeah.
He did not call plays. He did not do the game plan. The only thing I could find out that he did as an offensive coordinator was he was in charge of scripting the first 15 plays, which he seems to be pretty good at in Minnesota. Everything else, he's caca.
Yeah.
And he came to this team with no experience because he didn't do it in LA.
This is true. Well, we'll see. He's got 4 games to show us if he can get us back to the playoffs again. I wanted to throw this one comment up there just because it was absolutely hilarious from Norsefius. No nipples today, T-Bass?
No.
That's a shout out to One Bar Nuggets for anybody who doesn't know. Yeah. But in all seriousness, T-Bass, thank you so kindly for joining and for the crack research. It's an interesting thought, but it'll be one for the offseason. That's good. Thanks again for joining. Have a good night, sir.
Bye.
All righty. I know I got some people to shout out that I missed when T-Bass was going. We got Anthony in the building, Paige Neal Hunter, Justin Jefferson, please, and find a way to keep Flores. Totally agree with you. Number 1 priority, Danielle Hunter. Number 1 priority, Justin Jefferson. I want both of those guys back on this team. And if that means we don't get Kirk Cousins back, so be it. But I don't want this. Well, we got to sign Cousins. No, you don't. He just came off an Achilles. By the time March comes around at the start of the free agency season, he's not going to be able to pass a physical. So there isn't going to be a whole lot of teams lining up to give him buku bucks. If he wants to stay here, he can take a discount, much like the contract that was put out today by the Capologist. I forget what site it was for, but it was quoted on by Score North. Yeah, if it's 2 years, $60 million, I'd have to hold my nose, but I wouldn't feel horrible about it. If it's 2 years, $90 million, forget it. I ain't listening to that. One more time. You got to add $10 million of cap hits to both the 24 and 25 season if you extend him. But I agree. Hunter, Justin Jefferson, as far as players go, should be the biggest priority. As far as Brian Flores goes, I've said it before, I'll say it again. You give him a new contract and you give him as much money as he wants. If you got to pay him $1 less than what you pay KOC, then you do it. You don't stand in the way of him getting a head coaching gig himself. You don't do that because that's just terrible. But short of that, yeah, you go up to him right now and say, hey, B-Flow, I know you might be getting a job offer or two, but let's be clear. You want to go to Arizona? You want to go to San Diego? You want to go to these teams that are just okay? Or do you just want to be the first officer to KOC where you just have to run the defense and you don't have to have the stresses of being a head coach? You don't have to make those decisions about when to challenge and this, that, and the third. Okay, how much money you want? All of it? Okay, here you go. Because there's no salary cap for coaches. You can pay coaches $10 million a year if you want to. So yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Anthony, that Those three players, and then Christian Darrisaw would be number 4. All of those guys, all of them come back before Kirk does. I agree too, Eva. I don't think Andrew Luck was a bust. He played for 7 or 8 years. I disagree with T-Bass on that one, but that's okay. All right, so what do you got? Some people went high in the draft. Really mean nothing if you draft a quarterback for Hawaii, even though he went crazy in his college. The answer is no. Well, yeah, there's something to be said for that. 2050, yes, keep extending. I totally, yeah, anyway. Daniel Jones, a much bigger thief than. Well, that's true. That's true. Daniel Jones ought to be sending 10% of his paycheck to Ed Donishow. Ed Donishow. What's going on, AJ? Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Jones should have our defense in as well. Yeah, no, Ed Donishow, not our defense, Ed Donishow, but I digress. Exactly. There you go. You can't get that till you draft one. There's something to be said there too. And that gets back to the thing. At some point, you have to take a risk. The key is timing. You have to time it to when, again, last year, this time, or going into the offseason, I said I want the Vikings to trade up for Anthony Richardson and let him sit for 1 year behind Kirk Cousins. So that, all right, it's Kirk's last year under contract. He can learn from KOC. He can learn from watching Kirk Cousins, so that you had an exit strategy. And they decided not to go with that. I'm not poo-pooing Jordan Addison because, then we wouldn't have Jordan Addison. Okay? But I would have done it at the time. I absolutely would have. Yes, I get it. The ideal scenario is to draft your future replacement at quarterback and have him learn for a year so that you don't have a down year or two. But sometimes that's just not possible. Think everybody we should have taken Hurts. Well, yes. Lord Duncan says he wants Penix. Northvia says no to that. All right, Joe Mixon in the run game and the screen game, double team and bracket Jamar Chase. Yeah, I said that a little bit earlier when I was doing the game breakdown, Anthony, so go back and watch it after the show. And again, I'm only going to be on here for about another 5 minutes or so, ladies and gentlemen, because I got a little podcast work that I've got to do. Let's see. The 8th quarterback kick, well, that's true too. Once in a while, that does happen. Alex Smith was a good. Yes, I did say yes, absolutely. I will say this: Alex Smith at least got to an NFC Championship game when he was with San Francisco. So I put Alex Smith. Kirk Cousins is more talented than Alex Smith, but Alex Smith is a touch more able to figure out how to get things done in the playoffs. But it ain't by much. Okay, I know I'm way behind you guys. I know I'm about 7 or 8 minutes behind. Kirk was averaging Washington. Well, yeah, probably. To be honest, we don't. That's true. We don't know enough about. I will give you that. Absolutely. Yes, Mick. I said that earlier when I talked about it. I don't know if you were here yet or not. I apologize. It all starts to string together. Again, would I take 2 years, 60, holding my nose? Yes. And I said it right then and there. There's no chance Kirk Cousins takes that. There's no chance. And what I said earlier, and I'll say it again for anybody else who just joined me, what I don't want is I don't want the Vikings to be like, oh, we saw what life was like without Kirk, so let's go ahead and give him $45 million, 3 years guaranteed. No. Heck no. Well, no part of that. No part of that whatsoever. Lord says Vikings need to quit dishing out contracts that leave them powerless. Yes. No trade clauses, pushing out money into void years. You are absolutely correct, Lord. You're absolutely correct. B-Flow is gone. Well, there could be something that said to that too. I agree. Thank you so much. Watch the Vikings trade for Tommy DeVito. I certainly hope not. I hope not. Yeah, exactly. Stop it. All right. He said I didn't want to. I'm just saying there's no. Yeah. We got you. If you're the starter doing well, you're doing something right. True. Very true. Anthony says Coach KSC better eventually figure out the run game sooner or later. Oh, yes. That's a whole nother thing. Too evil, you ain't even funny. We're not signing Carson Wentz. All right, for real. Last one of the night. Playoffs. Yes, I do this at the end because, hey, it's that time of the year. We talked about the NFC North roundup. We got the Detroit Lions against the Denver Broncos. We got the Bears. You know what? I'm sorry, guys. Take 2. Hold on a second here. Stupid internet. Internet bugs getting me again. All right, take 2. Playoffs. Yes. Denver Broncos will be going to Detroit Saturday night. I anticipate Detroit winning that game, but I think the Broncos can make it close. I honestly do. The Packers are going to host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that very well be a game that the Packers lose. And, of course, the Bears, not that they count all that much. They're going into Cleveland. I'm going to say it like this. We all know if the Vikings go 4-0, they win the division. and go to the playoffs and host a playoff game. They will be the third. Whoever wins the North will be the third seed. Let's just get that out the way. San Francisco and Dallas / Philadelphia are not going to give up the 1 and 2 spots. I know right now Detroit's only one game behind them, but if we're talking about us catching Detroit, we're not catching Dallas, San Francisco, or Philadelphia. And we don't have the tiebreaker against Philly, and I think San Francisco is just too far ahead of us. 3 games up with 4 games left is not going to happen. So again, you got the Rams behind the Packers. You got the Seahawks behind the Packers. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The Seahawks, they're done. They're absolutely done. They have got the Eagles, so that's another loss, I anticipate. Then they go to Tennessee, 50-50 game, 50-50 game against the Steelers, and then they should beat the Cardinals. So again, I anticipate that the Rams are only going to get 2 more wins. So we just need 2, and we've got them covered. As far as the Rams go, I believe they've got San Francisco at least one more time. Yeah, they got the 49ers at the end of the year. So they've got an opportunity to make some hay. They got the Commanders this Sunday. Then they got the Saints. Then they got the Giants, who outside of beating Green Bay, I don't believe in that team. I mean, we're happy that they beat the Packers on Monday Night Football, but I still don't believe in them. So they could easily go 3-1, which means that gets them to 9. So we just need to win 3 games. 3 games gets you into the playoffs. 4 games get you the division. 3 games might get you the division if Detroit loses to Dallas, which I anticipate there. But it all starts this Saturday against the Bengals. You cannot afford to drop this game, because if you get this game and then you get the next 2 against Detroit and Green Bay, you might be able to clinch the division against the Green Bay Packers. You might be able to eliminate the Green Bay Packers. So we are in good shape, one way or the other. I know the question earlier about, hey, what's better, losing in the wild card round or losing out and having a top 10 pick? Again, the time for thinking about the future ended when you beat the San Francisco 49ers. It legitimately did. Yes, it would have been nice to at least gotten one of those 2 games against Denver and Chicago, because then you'd be in great shape and you'd have a bigger margin for error. But right now, you have no margin for error. You lose to Cincinnati, and now you have next to no margin, even less. So get that victory against the Cincinnati Bengals. That doesn't clinch a playoff spot for you, but it all but does. You might be able to get into the playoffs with just 2 more wins, as long as one of them is against the Green Bay Packers. But hey, we still got this division in sight. We can still get this division. As ridiculous as this season has gone, losing Kirk Cousins, losing Justin Jefferson, losing to Tampa Bay, San Diego, yes, I know, Los Angeles Chargers, Bears, and Broncos. Think about it. That's 4 more wins we could have. That's 4 more wins. You'd be 11-2. Where your only losses are to Philly and Kansas City. But alas, that's why they play the games. And all I'm going to say right now to wrap this up here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I will be shocked if our Vikings don't get to the playoffs. But if you lose a close game against Cincinnati, but you still look good offensively, and you just had one bad bounce go against you, is it going to be the end of the world? No. Does it completely kill your margin for error? Yes, because then you've got to sweep the last 3, the 2 against Detroit and Green Bay in the middle. Honestly, I think that if you win against Cincinnati and you get the first 2 games, you might be able to rest people in week 18. Use that as your bye week. But we're not thinking that far ahead. We're just going to think about the Cincinnati Bengals, how we can contain their offense, because we get this game on Saturday. We get this game. It's pretty much Katie bar the door. Katie bar the door. All right, last set of comments here, and we get up out of here. Thank you guys so much. I've been going for almost an hour and a half. I keep telling myself, Justin, keep it under an hour. It just doesn't happen because I love talking to you guys. 7 and 10 is very respectable. No, it's not. 8 and 9. No matter what, to evil, I am not going against the, hey, let's lose to the Packers on New Year's Eve. We're going to ring in and goal. I make appearances over there. I'll be honest with you, a lot of the preview episode is cut up from this, but I do content added onto it both at the beginning and the end. So you want to download those episodes and get those as well as what Dave puts out there, which is podcast only, where he talks with other content creators from around the NFC North, as well as occasionally he does do a podcast with a content creator for the opponent upcoming that week as well. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. Lord Duncan, is JJ even going to play? Yes, he's going to play. He's absolutely going to play. There is 0 doubt in my mind that Justin Jefferson plays. Number 1, he said it to a bunch of kids. He ain't going to lie to a bunch of kids. Number 2, he is questionable. You're just going to have that designation. It just is. No, JJ's going to play. And as I said, There's no way after missing the amount of games that he did that he's not playing, and he's certainly not going to miss the game against his buddy Jamar Chase. I'll tell you that right now. So, Lord, you can bet that JJ will be playing. You can bet on that. Knocking out the back is yes, absolutely. Absolutely. SKOL for Life says the offense is going to turn it around this Saturday. I hope so. I hope so. Shout out to the Toy Box. What's going on? Good to see you. I once was a casual fan. I've been since. Comment of the night by the Toy Box. Oh, yeah, I wonder what that guy's up to. He's blocked me. Oh no, not that. Anything but that. Oh, I got blocked by Rick Sosa. Oh no. How will I sleep at night? Got enough problems sleeping at night, but it ain't got nothing to do with him. That's for dang sure. I appreciate you, SKOL for Life. Barbara, I appreciate you. All right, Greg, what you got? It's all up to KLC in the off. Yes, absolutely. We can win all 4 of these games. We honestly could. We can win all 4 of these games. Just got to show up offensively because our defense, I'm not saying Zim Reaper, not yet, but they're getting close. But now it's time to do it against a real offense, even though it is with their backup quarterback. They still got all their weapons. As I said earlier, they're a mirror image offensively as us. Chase, Higgins, and Boyd are right there with Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson, backup quarterbacks. They got a slight edge because Joe Mixon's still pretty doggone good, and Ty Chandler, while we think he's got talent and capabilities, we haven't seen it yet. So offensively, we're pretty comparable. So our defense is going to have to step up. If the Kirk contract isn't extremely team friendly, then miss it with. I totally agree. Do you think the Vikings should have traded for Flacco and Keenum instead of Dubs? Well, I can't remember if it was you, but somebody asked me that on Monday or Tuesday. No, it was Monday. No, definitely not Keenum. Keenum was a magic carpet ride who benefited from playing with Pat Shurmur. If you had Keenum in the building like this offseason, I could listen to it, but no. As far as Flacco goes, it's kind of one of those deals where we can't just look at the results. We don't know if Flacco would have done that here. It's an easy hindsight second guess. At the end of it, no, I don't think they should have because I think they've got a guy in Jaron Hall. I wanted to see him more than anything. I said in the offseason, on the off chance that Kirk Cousins goes down for a couple of weeks, you go with Nick Mullins to stay afloat, but then you go with Jaron Hall if he's out for the season. So, no, I would not have made the move for Flacco. And, a couple of games, it's easy to hindsight. But I don't know. We'll see what Nick Mullins has. We'll see what Nick Mullins has. Ty Chandler couldn't. Oh, no, not yet. No, definitely not. Definitely not. All right, I asked for score predictions. Ain't nobody put them in there. All right, last call for score predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Last call. Closing time. Yeah, that's all I got. Closing time. And while we're at it, one more time, any final donations getting into Mary's drawing, $5 increments. And again, the prize this week. And Mary's got a prize for all 4 of the rest of the games. All 4 of the rest of the games, Mary's doing this. But Vikings yearbook, Vikings calendar 2024. The yearbook has a tribute to Bud Grant. Again, $5 donations. Any donations get a partial match from the Rochester Education System. Hit me up on the Cash App, Purple and Gold for Days. And in fact, let's do a recap of the donators tonight. I want to thank you all so very, very much one more time. Too Evil with the $5, Gary with the 20, Norsefius gifting memberships to people, Gary with another 10, then Gary with a 50 bomb, and then Gary with another 10, and then we got Norsefius one more time. Oh no, that was my star one. Sorry, Norsefius. Sorry. I just kidding. Anyway, all right, we got a couple, and then we're going to get out of here. The max I'm giving is $20 million a year. You want to rotate? Yeah, I would. Now that I would feel comfortable with. That I'd absolutely feel comfortable with. Too Evil with the 4-4 tie. Funny stuff, Too Evil. Funny stuff. Duncan's got 26-24. Zoe's got 23-13. Zoe going with the under. I thought, Zoe, you always took overs. Anyway, Caesar has got us 24-21. Tune in Saturday morning at 11:10 for the Purple and Gold pregame show with my official predictions, as well as, again, hit the subscribe button on the Vikings First and SKOL YouTube page, as well as your favorite podcast aggregator. For right now, anyway, I'm going to bid adieu, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody's still at 49-7, the Vegas Raiders put up basically a 50 burger after getting 0 against us. Hopefully the Vikings can say, hey, you know what? Vegas, we'll see your 49 and we'll raise you a 55. Seriously doubt it, but I'll take it. You're quite welcome. Thanks again for everybody for joining me. As always, SKOL to the next episode. And as Prince would say, go crazy, punch a higher floor, SKOL Vikings, and we'll see you Saturday morning, 11:10 Central Time. Good night.